Okay, I'm gonna get started here. So I wanted to thank Gabriel for asking me to do this talk with you. I am very much a marketing nerd. I love marketing. I could talk about marketing all day long. I'm the type of person who wakes up at 3 a.m. with creative ideas for my clients. So this is something that I think is really important. And I think a lot of authors are kind of on their own to help with their marketing. They don't have a lot of resources. So it's always good to help people who don't have the team that like a J.K. Rowling has, right? So I'm going to give you some resources and some things to think about. You may know some of it and you may not know some of it. My hope is that because everybody in here is kind of in different places based on the review that I did, I hope that at least you'll walk away with 4 or 5 things you can do today to help you with your marketing. Um, and I'm hoping that there'll be more than that, but I'm thinking at least 4 or 5 things you'll be able to do. So, a little bit about me. My name is Beverly Cornell, and I have been in the marketing business for over 25 years. I specifically help small business owners, entrepreneurs, artists, musicians, authors spark your unique opportunity and help you ignite your brand. We want to partner with people like you to simplify your marketing, organize it, elevate your brand, and help you achieve any goals that you may have. I hold a master's degree in intercultural communication from Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. And my first job out of college was I worked in an ad agency for Chrysler. So I come from an automotive background. In 2011, I started BC and Associates Marketing. It's a boutique agency. Simply because I married a soldier, I had to take my show on the road, and it was really hard to find a VP of marketing position every 3 years if we. So I decided to start doing some consulting, and one thing led to another, and now I have a team of 5 people and several clients. I am truly an accidental entrepreneur who just started freelancing, and then I incorporated in 2020, just before COVID hit. We offer all the services that you need for marketing. I don't necessarily do them all, but I have a team of people who are way smarter than me that help me do all the things. I did recently self-publish a marketing book. It's called Marketing for Entrepreneurs. Um, and really, that is a book that I'm using more strategically just to help me build some authority and maybe use it as a lead product on my website. So I don't really hope to be a famous author, but I do think that the power of the book is very important. I gave a talk to authors that are in the not the fiction realm about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 2 months ago. And I in that talk, it inspired me to like write my book. So I just said I have to do it. It's been in my head for over 20 years, and I actually wrote it and published it in 7 days. So I was on a mission to get that out of my head. So today we are going to discuss a few things. One is branding, websites, and social. I'm going to offer you a download for decoding ads for authors, and I'm also going to give you some options for one-on-one help. So those are the main key areas that we will cover. So let's begin with branding. I call branding the heart and soul of marketing. It is everything that you are. It is your unique story. It's the vibe around who you are, and it's what your books promise to deliver. It's your story. It's your essence. It's your why. It's your mission. It's your vision. It's your core values. It is what makes you unique, and it's how you ensure that when someone sees your book or your face, that they immediately recognize and know the magic that you offer to the book world. And I always start with branding because it is so critical to have a united brand and how you present yourself across your website, into your social, and into your published books, and how everything should kind of have a cohesive look and feel. It needs to be intentional. So I always use this example of if you were to build a treehouse and you didn't have a plan, you could somehow muster through and build all the things, right? But it would probably be a little wonky because you didn't have a specific plan. But if you have a detailed plan before you start, it's going to be stronger, it's going to look nicer, and it's probably going to last longer. It's the same with with the brand. You want to be intentional about your brand. You want to consider why you write books for children, what informs your stories and why they matter to young readers, why your perspective and your representation matter, and how does all of that inform the brand, the look, the feel, the word choices, the messaging. This is the heart and soul of everything you do in marketing. It has to be consistent. So, a branding plan ensures that all aspects of your marketing and communication are in harmony with each other and they convey the same message. This consistency helps build trust with your audience because they know what they're going to get. So, I always say, like McDonald's, everybody knows McDonald's. You know what you're going to get when you go to McDonald's. They've figured it all out, right? So, every single McDonald's store, no matter where you go, pretty much is the same with the exception of maybe service. So you wanna have a look and feel. You wanna be consistent. You wanna make sure that it speaks to your target audience, which is the children and also their influencers, which are parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and teachers, the people who read to them, the people who read themselves. Do you wanna make sure that whatever brand you create is specifically targeted to them, but also is authentic to yourself? I don't ever want somebody to only create the brand for the person that they're trying to serve because I don't think that's going to come across as really you. So it needs to be you, but it also needs to speak to who you want to serve. And then it needs to be professional. You all are a brand. You are representing yourself as a brand and you serve children and you serve their influencers. And it's important that I'm just letting a couple people in here. Hold on. There we go. That you present yourself as a serious professional so that you are taken seriously by people. So it will open up more opportunities for you as an author and in publishing, I think, if you really do take the time to create this brand. So, one of the things you want to consider are the colors of your brand. So, these are my colors. I have pink, purple, white, blue, and I also have some gray, and I also use some gradients as well. And I picked these colors very specifically. It's a psychology to color and what they represent in marketing. Blue, for example, is about calm and loyalty and professional. You want to use the colors that you have to speak to your audience. Now, I primarily work with female business owners. So I picked colors that are more feminine. I am also female. So this resonates more with my brand and who I am. So I was very intentional about the colors I chose. I wanted them to complement each other. I wanted them to represent who I was, and I'm going to use them the same across the board, the same exact color every time. When I worked at Chrysler, I worked on the Dodge catalogs, and there was like a Dodge truck red. And everywhere you went, there was that same red. It could be in the catalog, in the commercials. It was always the same exact hue of red. And that was intentional to help build their brand. At the end of that job, if I ever saw Dodge red again, I think I was going to like, it's all I live for with Dodge truck red. So, colors possess this profound ability to communicate emotions and messages silently, yet very effectively. So choose colors that mirror the spirit of your stories, whether and that they embody what you are trying to um, give as your message and who you are. They are the colors are all part of the brand as well. So you want to make sure you're consistent, use them in everything you do. So I suggest picking 4 to 5 colors that you use consistently, have a main color, and then accent colors accordingly. Your visual signature. This is your social media profile pictures, your the profile cover photos on your LinkedIn. These are the things that show if you are inviting or not. So are you smiling? Are you clean? Are you dressed cleanly and organized and professional? Are you looking at the camera? Does somebody think that they could be friends with you, or do you seem a little off standish? You want to make sure that this photo is engaging and also a reflection of who you are. And you're working with children, so I feel like it needs to be extraordinarily happy because children love really happy and smiley people. It should be easy to see on mobile phones. So one of the things that I recommend is that um, you actually put a background. So see how I have the pink background here on this particular slide? Put a nice contrast so it's easy to see your face with that background. In Canva, you can add that and then you can edit the photo and remove the background. So you can have a really nice photo that is in your color scheme as well. So you can use one of your colors, maybe it's your main color, to put as your background. And then use that photo across every single social profile. That is part of your brand. So don't change it up. You can change it, but when you change it across the board. And then same with your cover photo. Your cover photos should say what you do quickly and who you serve. So use that as an opportunity to market what you do and who you serve. Um, if you go to my LinkedIn profile right now, I actually have a picture of my book and how you can download it on Amazon. And I have a picture of me with holding the book in my profile. So it's really super easy to know what I'm trying to like my message is for right now. So I would just be really intentional about what you put in those spaces. Think of it as the flag of your realm. Like it's an opportunity to display the unique aspects that you have to offer with your brand. So use that extra space. Use every single part of that space to share your mission and who you serve and put it everywhere. Put it everywhere. So your story and music. So the soundtracks of our world. So a lot of people are using music in on their different sites, which is great. It can be a very strong part of your arsenal, and children love music, but you want to make sure it sings to the essence of your story. So the melody should actually reflect what you're talking about and what your messaging is and who you are. Um, and it should resonate in the hearts of your audience as well. So just be careful um, of using language or themes that might not be appropriate for children in some of your marketing and advertising on your social profiles. Um, I don't think you guys would. Gabriel and I were talking about this. I don't think you would actually use those any bad words in your stories. So it shouldn't be in your marketing. So just be aware of that. I think that music is very powerful for children, and I also think that um, it's very important as part of a culture as well. So I think that it should be represented. I just think you should be very intentional about what you choose to represent your brand and your books. Let's see here. Texture. The use of texture is really powerful. So you know this from books. If you touch a specific book and it has a really nice texture of the paper, you're more apt to want to pick it up. You're more apt to want to read it, to buy it. You might spend more because it actually has a really nice cover and feel. Texture also works in marketing. So like gradients and adding layers of like so you'll see like the gradient I have on the screen, but I also added some different depths of things on top of it. So using texture can be very powerful as well. So I suggest you also think about texture. It could be um if trying to think of a oh, I can tell you this. Okay, so one of the authors I worked with before, her book was about the 1980s. And so she had kind of like this like MTV kind of vibe with some of her stuff. So that texture of like that graphic look and feel worked for her particular book because of that texture and feel. So you can use texture in a really powerful way. And everything now is an experience. So you want to hit every single sense. You want to see, you want to hear, you want to touch, all the things need to, and even the sense of smell in some way can be very powerful. So you can even describe something in it and you know that people cannot like almost smell it. So use all the senses and as much experiential in your marketing as possible to fully get that experience and tie people to your brand. So who you are serving and the importance of connection. So knowing your audience, remember at the end of the day, it's all about connecting with those little hearts and those minds. Everything from your visuals to your words should be a bridge from your world into theirs. And if you really run any marketing activity through that lens, that should help guide you and give you focus on your plan. Mm. It's your brand, it's your story. So remember, it's not just about logos and colors, it's about really taking the time to weave who you are in it. The books that I wrote has a lot of action steps in it for you to think about who you are and the vision and why you do what you do. Every chapter has, I think, 5 to 7 action steps where you makes you think about some of the stuff related to your brand. And it really is very powerful when you put it all together. So it's the look, it's the feel, it's the touch, and it's the sound of your brand. And you want to be make sure it really does speak to you authentically. Because in a year down the road, are you going to be tired of it because it's not you? I will tell you that I had a logo and I redid my logo and then I redid it again until I felt it was right. So you may go through an evolution, which is perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be one and done, but try to get there closer and closer every time that you do it or modify it or tweak it. So the once you have your branding set and you know who you are, and you have your colors, and you know what fonts you want to use, and you know what textures you like, and you know who you are as far as your mission and your vision, it's time to create a website. So the website, I'm from Detroit, so everything's about cars. So your website is kind of like the center of a wheel, and everything that comes out of it is all the activities you do. So if you do a video on YouTube, if you do Instagram, if you do a reading at a school, if you do whatever you do, a book signing should always come back to the center, which is your website, and should be the most part of who you are represented in its fullest picture. So I took this idea of the writing and the author to kind of make you think about your website as is a story that you are telling. So you want to unleash the protagonist of your story when you create your author website. You are the hero of the story, and you need to make sure it's well developed. The character has to be well developed. You can't just put a name and there's nothing else to it. You have to talk about the character, develop the character, the motivations of the character. So you are unleashing this protagonist on your author website, and I want you to think of it that way. So, once you kind of understand who's on the website, you want to make sure that you pick a website platform that works for you. There's lots of really easy to use platforms. I use WordPress. I've also used GoDaddy. I've used Shopify. I've used Wix, all really easy to use. You just want to make sure that you pick something that you feel comfortable with. If you use WordPress, there's themes like Author Pro or Astra that are really great for authors. They really have a template kind of already set up for authors, which is great. And then if you use Wix, I think they have one called Writer or Novelist that is good as well. So something to keep in mind. Once you've picked that, you also you wanna fill the platform. You wanna fill that out, make sure that's good, and then you wanna make sure you organize it in a way. You are literally taking them on a journey once they enter your website. And just like Hansel and Gretel left little crumbs along the way, you wanna leave crumbs along your website for people to snack on as they go through. So from your homepage, you should have beyond your main navigation, you should have clear calls to action on every page on where you want them to go next. And then allow them to journey. Maybe you give them 3 options, kind of like a choose your own story, choose your own ending. They can go to get more information on a book, on you, on where you're going to be next, whatever that looks like. Be really intentional about guiding them through the website so that they know that if they don't have to work for it, they don't have to work hard. The less friction you have in the process, the better. And the more apt they're going to get lost in a rabbit hole on your website and learn all sorts of things about you and your books and your writing. Um, so real quick on this one, there's 28 great examples of children's author websites right here. These are really fun. So, I mean, they're so great. They have lots of content ideas for you all. How to how to set up the website, what content to wear, how much, all of that. These are excellent examples. So if you're looking for inspiration, you're looking for how to set it up, this link right here will be really powerful for you. I strongly suggest that you go and you check that out. So once you get the homepage, um, this is the opening scene of the novel, right? So it should feature an eye-catching banner. Make sure your name and tagline are there. Have high quality photos, and all of the graphics should align with your genre. So if you have a certain style of writing that you have, try to incorporate that style within the graphics on your page. You don't want it to be boring and you don't want too much text. So you want something just enough to grab their attention and to click to learn more. So try to keep that in mind. And then once you get into the page, you need to make sure you have an about me page that serves as your character introduction. So you want to share your writing journey, your passions, the inspirations you have. Um, you want to make sure that um, you talk about your personality and consider also having an author bio photo on that page as well. Humanize the brand with your photos. Maybe it's a picture of you working with children or doing a book signing with children, but try to encapsulate that as much as possible in your graphics and your imagery. Once you get through those 2 pages, you want to talk about the journey. You want to talk about how you are people getting knocked out, or are people leaving of their own accord? What's happening? Is everybody okay? I just want to make sure because people are coming in and out. Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure. Awesome. um, so you want to weave the plot of your journey now. So you want to devote this section to your journey. What were the pivotal moments for you? What are the challenges that you've overcome as an author? What are the milestones you've achieved? Include any awards you've been nominated for or won. But this really is about welcoming the reader and the influencers into getting to know you, understanding your growth, and becoming more committed, your commitment to your craft. So you want to really kind of give them a peek behind the curtain of your process and who you are and be as personable as possible because you can't shake everyone's hand. So this is the way you do that. This is essentially a virtual signing or presentation of yourself that you have to like kind of recreate that live in-person experience, but online. You also want to tease the book. So you want to, maybe tease story excerpts or book blurbs. You want to create a dedicated page section just for your books. And then you want to tease maybe chapters or hold on. I just lost. Something just happened. There we go. There we go. Sorry. Had a little glip there. Um, so uh, you want to give them enough of a taste that they want to have more. And you can be really intentional about this too. I would maybe read 1 or 2 pages and leave it off at like the most compelling part so that they have to get the book to read more. You reading the story infuses your vision and thought process behind it, which is what I think the readers really will enjoy and the people who are the influencers of the children. I would also craft a reader's corner where you can blog and talk about your different, behind the scenes anecdotes, your writing process, your reflection, any books that you think your readers would also enjoy so you can support each other in that. I'm creating a book nook on my um website where I'm actually gonna feature some of the business books that I like. So you can actually create like a bookshelf on your website of books that you also recommend, which just creates more value for the reader because they know that they can get ideas from you on additional books that kind of reflect your book as well. Um, you want to always capture emails when you have a social media presence and you have all these other places. You're leasing your fans from them. If Facebook were to go down tomorrow, you would lose all your fans. So you want to encourage people to sign up for email, and a couple of you do a really nice job of that currently. Um, but I would like you to be really intentional about um, of how. So people are having problems with some of this of the sounds. It looks like I just want to make sure. Oh, it's fixed. Perfect. Okay. Um, that you capture those emails because as you release more books, as you have different events, as you offer maybe companions to those books, whether it's coloring books or maybe you have some seasonal tie-ins for them or maybe some geographical tie-ins, you can share them through your email newsletter. So those emails are like gold because that's going to help make marketing for you going down the road less and less exhaustive. You're going to be able to capture those emails, remarket them every time you release something, and be able to continue to grow and sell through that channel. It is probably the most important thing you can do to help your business continue to grow is build an email list and then consistently nurture the list with content. So even if it's just once a month, send an email out, let them know what you've been up to, let them know where you've been at, let them know if you're writing, let them know if something's coming out. Maybe you're developing a character and you want to introduce the character, you can put that in there. But you just can tease and you can really nurture your list through that. So you want to optimize your page, and by doing that, you have to also be really careful. So every page should be optimized for a different keyword or phrase. So maybe your homepage is optimized for author for children's books. That's the key phrase. You should have that in your header. It should be part of the link that people it's the permalink. So for the actual thing that you're doing, like on the a page, the tab or whatever you're doing, or the blog post, it should be the name of the image. You want to use that key phrase um throughout all of that particular page and then pick a different phrase for the next page. So maybe the next page is your name and children's book or children's author. But be really specific about that. And even when you choose a name for your website, I always say it should be your name and then what kind of books you write. So Gabriel Hamilton, children's author, um, or some kind of genre attached to your name or just your name. Before I became BC and Associates Marketing, I was beverlycornell.com. So build the brand around your name because if you write another book, the book name that you chose for your website isn't going to necessarily work. So you want to be a little bit more broad and you want it to be about you as a brand because as you develop, maybe you have a shop, you have other content, you want to be able to have that as part of your brand. So your name is like the umbrella with which all this other stuff kind of lives and exists underneath it. Okay. Are there any questions right now about branding and your website that you want to ask or need clarification on that I can help you with?
I do have a question.
Okay.
So when it comes to like your face, should it be like the logo of your business or should it be like you as the person?
So I would use your face as your profile picture, but your logo can be in that cover photo, right? So if you're on LinkedIn, for example, it's your face and then that. It makes it more personable. And if you are an author, I feel like you are the brand, so you should use your face. I think it should be your face.
Okay. And then as far as
Uh,
like the Instagram, um, do you have any tips of like getting around? Because for me, like, Instagram doesn't show me the trendy songs, it only shows me certain, and I think it's just because it's the there we go. It's because it's like the business page. I don't know why it does that, but
That's true. So on even TikTok, if you have a business account, you don't get all the fun things. They are much more restrictive because copyrights of songs and different things, if you're using a song for a business, you're making money off their song and they don't like that. So they're really specific about what you like. There aren't a lot of, not as many options. So you have to get a little bit more creative um, with that. So you're right. But what I do is I look up the hashtag for my genre. So I look up small business marketing, entrepreneurs. I'll look up, and then under that, there's usually trending under those hashtags. And I'll try to use those trends for what I'm working on. So you can kind of like, once you look up the hashtags in your, everybody knows what a hashtag is, right? I always like, this is like, I live and breathe this stuff. So sometimes hashtag is that cross mark. You can hashtag, it's like a search. You're like you're searching in Google, hashtag small business marketing in your Google search, in your Instagram search or your TikTok search. And then underneath the hashtags that are like related to that term, there's usually a trends section that you can look at. And it'll give you some ideas of what's trending right now. Does that help?
yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to talk a little bit about social and what you can do with that. Let me get myself situated over here on my notes just so I don't go too far. So when you do social media platforms, I think it's important whether you have it as for private or you have it for business. And I know some of you are just starting out, and a lot of you are just working your friends and family to start, which is fine. But I would try to work them into a business account, and then I would keep your personal account private in the sense of like lock it down, because you don't necessarily want a child to maybe run across your personal profile unless you're running it like it's your professional, not putting any personal stuff on it. So I kind of started everything out myself as a personal profile, and then I slowly started to migrate to business profile. And I would definitely migrate to business profiles, especially as you become more and more serious and more dedicated to what you're doing. You want to have a very distinct presence that is your brand, not necessarily your personal life. And it's okay that you have that separate and maybe private. I keep it private because I have an army husband, so I don't need everybody knowing my business. But and I don't really want like my clients to be my friend. So I really want it to stay business more than professional. It's a line though. You can decide how you want to do it. But if you do post personal stuff and your readers or people are seeing it, they may not agree, whether it's politically or it can get real dicey. And that's where I think it's nice to have my business profile and I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So, um, it's really up to you on how you handle that, but my strong suggestion is to have a dedicated business Facebook page, a dedicated business TikTok page, a dedicated business Instagram page, and make sure it's very clear and it's your brand and it's all about what you're doing with your books, not necessarily anything else that's happening. Unless part of the authentic side is I do occasionally share a picture of my dogs or my son or my family when I think it's appropriate, but I keep it to a minimum and I don't really talk about a lot of those hot button items because I just don't want to make it about that. I want it to make it about my craft. So I keep it very intentional in how what I do. So I need to have all of my content. Part of my branding is I have four content pillars. I have education, I have entertainment, I have services that I share, and then I have like some of the things that we believe in, or well, yeah, some of the things we believe in. So some of our like we do sustainability, we do a lot of charity work, and what that looks like. So I pick from those content pillars for my content. So if you start to like put them in buckets of things that you want to talk about, whether it's education, whether it's entertainment, you can pick different content pillars for yourself. but you could maybe it's about the characters. So I have services, so maybe yours is about the book. So it's the characters, it's your process, it's all of that. The education side could be about literacy and some of those things that are important. You could have a whole bucket on culture and why that's important. Representation is important. I think there's a lot of options for you to have these four very clear buckets, and then rotate through that content. And that's also content you can use. I know that Chat GPT is there's like a whole thing about it, but um, I do use it for ideas related to my content pillars. I'll put in like I want to do something about I don't know the Oscars or something, and it will help me relate it to my content pillar. And then I have an idea and I can run with it. So these content pillars can really help you with with creating a calendar of content. And when you're like, what do I post now? Having that as an option to turn to can be powerful. You don't want to be in every single. I mean, I say claim your name on every platform. But you don't have to work every platform. You can just simply have the bio filled out, make sure you fill out the profile to it in its entirety, make sure there's a link if you can to your website, and and then work the profile that you feel the most comfortable with and where your audience hangs out. People who the influencers who buy your book. So Facebook is still really huge. I mean, there's billions of people on there and a billion people on there. Um, but other stuff is kind of becoming more important. Video is really important. So as one person, you don't have when I do this for my clients, I have a team of people who do it. So just know that it's a lot and these tools change all the time. So you kind of have to stay up on them. I strongly suggest you sign up for like a social media, is it social media today? Social media, well, what's the name of that? I think it's Social Media Today is a great newsletter that kind of tells you what's happening in the social media space so you can kind of keep up with the trends and what's happening. Um, so you want to pick your battleground and then be really good at it. And then once you've mastered that particular one, then move to the next channel and then add them like that. So I just don't want you to feel overwhelmed and not do any of them right. I'd rather you do one right and be consistent with your content and build it than spreading yourself super thin if you have limited time to do it. So based on your time and what you have available to you is what you should invest in social media. Otherwise, it's going to be too overwhelming and um hard to manage from there. So everybody knows that LinkedIn's more of a professional space. So I used to call LinkedIn the boardroom. And Instagram are like Facebook more so is like the barbecue. Instagram is like a portfolio. Twitter's almost like a news box. Like it's more like news bites. And then TikTok is this short behind the scenes type video. They're kind of going more long form recently, but that's and really video everywhere is huge. And then YouTube is more of longer form video opportunities. Consistent content to your author persona. Make sure your personality is shining, your messaging is clear. If you have a vision and a mission, if you have core values, sharing those, why they're important, sharing your journey, little bits of it, being authentic in that, especially through video, is really powerful part of the process. Share your process, give sneak peeks. Um, Even like doing like a writing and like a time lapse, where you speed it up. It's kind of a fun thing. Um, Using really strategic hashtags for your target audience. So using things like writing or children's author, making sure you're getting into those searchable terms. Getting ahead of myself, see. Okay, posting your characters. So you want to introduce characters as social companions. So meet Emily. She's my latest character I'm working on for this book. And then maybe ask a question. That's the other thing too, is making sure it's engaging. So I always say use action verbs like comment, like share, and then questions. Like if I say meet Emily, she's my fearless protagonist of my latest book. what do you admire most in your favorite characters? And then having people share that encourages them to engage with your post, and that makes your content more valuable in the algorithm the more you share. And if somebody does comment, reply to them with a question or somehow to encourage more engagement feeds the algorithm even more. So you want to be constantly nurturing that and creating that conversation and trying to get people to communicate on your post so that it tells the algorithm your post is important and more of your content is shown to more people. If you have characters, you can do like one of the suggestions I have is like a character introduction series where you introduce each character individually as a short video and you put those on TikTok, but it becomes a series, right? So every single character in your book, you kind of, have that character, what they are, who they are, all those things, kind of just talk about them and why you picked that character and some motivations for the character. But those are really good bite-sized videos that can showcase each character super visually appealing, and highlight their roles and then make people intrigued about the entire story and how it all is woven together. Make sure you're engaging. We talked about that. Make sure that you ask and answer questions. Use action verbs in your post, asking people to do stuff. And then also memes and things like that, kind of related to your topic. Um, usually get like really powerful algorithm boosters. So be strategic about how you put those. I usually try to put those like Mondays because if I get a lot of engagement on that, then for the next couple 3 days, it helps boost those posts. So you want to just make sure you're dropping in some of that really engaging, fun, edutainment type content in there. Creates but, everything's remote now, so don't be afraid to create, um, Facebook events and Zooms and virtual readings, um, and then so today, I'm gonna record this video, right? And then I'm gonna put it into a software called Opus, OPUS dot AI or .io, and it's going to take this particular video and make it into whatever size video chunks I want. So I can say, "Make this into 30-second videos." And it will create little snippets of my video automatically that have really good hooks and are interesting little blurbs. So if you do a longer video, like a launch or a reading, you can take these bite-sized pieces and repurpose them into those little short snippets for Instagram stories and for TikTok. I'm all about repurposing content. So and the more you can take one piece of content and use it everywhere, the better off you are. But you have to kind of plan that out. You can't just throw it up and be like, oh, like you need a plan. Like I'm gonna do the long form video, and then I'm gonna make it short form video, and then I'm gonna put it onto YouTube, and then I'm going to take the transcript and I'm gonna create a blog post from that that creates content for my website that Google can crawl. You just want to make sure you're thinking all the way through all the ways that you can thoroughly use your content in every manner possible. Because some people like to read, some people like to watch, some people like to, so everybody has their own choice of how they consume your content, whatever you decide that is going to be. Show appreciation. So maybe, a heartfelt thank you. Those are really great posts too. Like, thank you for coming to my event. Thank you for showing up for the autographs today. I really had a great time, making sure that you show appreciation. Shout out posts, reposts of other people's stuff. Like, there's this law of reciprocity, right? When you do something nice for somebody, a lot of times it comes back to you. It's just good juju, good karma. Put the good juju out there as much as possible. And you can't just live in a silo of your own content. You have to engage with people. Like, you have to go into Facebook groups about children's books or children's literacy and engage as a human being. Give your opinion. And then when it makes sense, share your book. But don't spam them either. Don't throw up all over them. Like, be human and engage and be helpful and contribute to the conversation. And then when it's appropriate, make the connection. But you have to be human in this. You can't it's like I can build a baseball stadium and I can play baseball there, but if I don't go out and get the people and have them come, so go and do these things, whether it's in your city, there's like chambers of commerce, there's actual city pages, there's teachers pages, there's all kinds of things where you can go out and do things to engage in the community. Uh, so let's see, it's 10:49. So I always say, teasers are fun, like countdowns and like revealing little pieces of a puzzle. Like I'm in the process of launching a podcast at the end of this month at Leap Day, and where it's the whole theme is like we're taking a leap on something, and we have like little pieces of paper that are torn to reveal parts of it, and we're doing little audio files, and we're doing some different things to kind of tease it. We have a countdown on the website, like 2 weeks and 5 days away. We have just have fun with it. People like that kind of stuff. The more you can gamify something, make it like a game, the more people are intrigued. And I feel like this audience specifically is like really works for them to make it and have fun. So one of the things I did, and I'm not sure how this will translate into your world as children's authors, but one of the things that I suggested for the website of one of the other authors was a really in-depth book club page. And in that book club page, she had, and I feel like you could do this with activities and other things that are children related, but she had a whole page dedicated to this one particular book and all the things that you could do to transport yourself into the book. So she had a playlist of music that was so it's 80s. So she made a playlist on Spotify for it. She had recipes from the book because they were eating at a diner at one point, so she pulled recipes from the diner that people could make during the book club. She had mood boards of what people could wear to the book club. But I feel like if one of the characters in your book is set in Catherine and I were talking earlier about, like, it being in 1967 in New Jersey, right? And I feel like you could do a playlist from 1967. You could have like what was in the news in 1967. You could have like a mood board of what kids were wearing in 1967. You could do a really fun thing to make it an experience, and that could create activities for the teacher to do. So maybe it's a day where the kids dress in 60s attire, and they come and they read the story. So I feel like you have opportunity here to, it's all about experience right now. People want these really unique experiences. How do you transport a child beyond their imagination into your universe you created? So maybe it's through food, maybe it's through smell, maybe it's clothing, maybe it's through music, whatever that looks like for your character. Like I'm thinking maybe even if they went on a journey in the book, um, maybe you actually had um, a passport of some sort, like a map of where they could go, and maybe there could be an exercise on geography and history of the area of each of those places. The way you can transform it into an educational, across the board experience and really, really develop out the world you created. So that to me sounds really exciting and fun as a marketer to help develop out the world of your story and how to make it. I mean, you think about, and I know like J.K. Rowling has a huge budget and all the things that I'm just using her as an example, but all the things that they've created around Harry Potter, it's kind of mind blowing of all the things they've created. There's butterbeer, there's um even like a Harry Potter world, they have the heat from the dragon and all the things. They've made it an experience. And you can do that on a micro level and still have a really powerful opportunity to get into children's minds and like make it more real for them, and be educational. So that's probably my thing about the teasers and doing things like that, is to really develop out the world of your character in the book and make it as much, like, have a whole page dedicated to that kind of stuff. And I think that's how you could have, like, even if there's color books and stuff, but you could have activity sheets. So maybe like I'm thinking, the rebellion in 1967, what it was, if it was summertime, you could do like a whole summer connection to that. I just feel like seasonally or even like time of year or on the anniversary of that particular event, you could have a whole like activities you could do that would um I think expand the story and make it very real for the children. So I there's so many opportunities there in my mind of all the things you could do. I could probably sit here and talk about all kinds of ideas. I know you have to make them happen now, right? So I won't bog you down too much there, but sharing quotes can be very powerful. Like one sentence from the book can be a boast. You can um meet the characters meet Alexis or whatever. Or you can have a whole thing. You could have excerpts of scenes. You can this is more the experiential stuff, so make it visually appealing. You could um use the maybe it's the line drawings of the characters versus the full on color version of the characters to show the process or themes related to it, and have some movement in them as well, like animate them in some way. Again, showing the behind the scenes of your writing space, your notebooks filled with scribbles, your editing process, like the entire process from the beginning to end, how you write the story. And even like Gabriel's at the post office right now delivering books, right? So document that. You're taking pictures and you're documenting that, right? Like you're documenting that particular process. I saw a video of him last night signing books. You know, like he was whatever you're doing, document that and share that. That's all part of the process. You can do countdowns to a chapter revealing or something like that. You can do interactive teasers with thought provoking questions. Um, particular example is if your favorite character faced a moral dilemma, what choice would you make? Again, kind of like a choose your own story kind of situation, which like my son loves those. I was talking to Gabriel the other day that he loves the like kid time story time and Ani's house where they do like there's a lot of people who read books out loud and then they record them um and like making a partnership with them and doing something kind of a teaser about the partnership would be fun as well. Let's see here. Creating trailers. So literally treat your book as if it was going to be a movie being launched. Create a trailer for it. 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, just to get people hyped up and excited about it. Um, a Canva has a great tool where you can pop in video, you can pop in music, you can I mean, all kinds of things, and it's pretty intuitive and easy to use that you can easily translate your graphics into, a trailer of some sort. Let's see here. You can do special things for subscribers, so they're the first on the list to get something. They're the first on the list to get the first look at the next book, a sneak peek of the new characters, whatever. Really tease that exclusivity of your newsletter and that like your club, whatever that looks like. On here, on every single one of these slides, I have some examples just to kind of like get your brain going on that particular topic. So I that hopefully will help you the cross promotion, so collaborate with other authors. There's bookstagrammers. So connect with them or influencers. Cross promotion is huge. Let's see here. You guys have a built-in group already, so that's great. Um, and this next section is all about like visual, which is pretty self-apparent. So I'm already at like an hour right now. Gabriel, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to keep going a little bit, or do you want me to kind of get to the end and answer questions and do that? Do you prefer?
Honestly, I'm here till the end. I recommend folks if they have questions, raise your
Yeah.
hand, chime in, and ask questions as you go along. But I don't want to rob anyone of anything, and I don't want to take away from people's day. So you kind of manage it either way.
I'm seeing a couple of things in the chat. Let me like here get caught up. I like the idea of instrumental. I feel like it leaves more to the imagination, which is nice. Like you still get like the cool vibe, but you have like it's more about the content. The focus is on the content that you're making versus the words in the song. Although if the words in the song, there's a lot of music from the 70s, for example, that's a lot about what happened in 1967 or late 60s. So if it makes sense to include that, then include it. But I think instrumentals are really powerful. We use a lot of that for some of the stuff that I do. So um, there's that. Okay, so let me kind of look here. Um, so you want eye catching stuff. You want to tease like parts of it. You can have fun with graphics. You could make a quote from your book look like this. Like you could actually like stack it in a very fun way and make it look unique in just by the different types of font you use. Um, you want to make sure that you have consistent kind of look and feel along the way, but something else that I think is kind of cool, and I'm sure you guys have looked at this, but I don't want to not say it and be remiss, but you can use they're called Easter eggs in your books. So maybe there is a specific piece of jewelry that the character wears in one, and then they wear the same piece of jewelry in the next one. And then you can talk about what that piece of jewelry represents for you. So there's things like that that you can kind of leave again little breadcrumbs along the way to make things more interesting and add some texture and also share. And that can be a very visual element as well. And if you do it right, you might even be able to sell that piece of jewelry, kind of like Annie's locket from Annie. You could have something that you could actually put in a shop if you curate that properly. So think about it from that perspective too, as other opportunities for yourself. Well, let's see here. Consistent, encourage participation, using polls and quizzes, um, great interactive content. Let's see here. Consistent elements, encourage participation, which is we talked about some of the active verbs and some of those things. Um, see here. I'm just trying to like not get too bogged down here. Um, visually appealing. Um, and again, like Canva, I can't say enough good things about Canva. If you are not a graphic designer, they have even like basic graphic design courses you can take through Canva. They just it does so much. So I really suggest you check it out. You could have online events for book reveals and different things. We talked about that a little bit. Uh, making sure your invitations kind of speak to your brand. Even at your book signings, Gabriel, I was thinking about this. If there's a way to have an Instagrammable moment at your book signing, somehow maybe it's a stand-up image or something where they're with you, the character, or like something that creates an Instagrammable moment where they could take a picture and post it. Creating those opportunities with your brand will help get that user-generated content out there. It's not just you posting it, but maybe they post it and they hashtag you or they at you, and then you can use that. So when I another thing, and I'm sure again, like a lot of you probably have done some of this, but when I launched my new book, I had everybody who bought it take a picture of themselves with it. And then I'm going to do like a collage. I'm gonna do different things with it. I'm gonna create a little movie out of it. I'm gonna do some fun things with it so that it's not just me talking about the book, it's somebody else talking about the book, right? So do some of those kinds of things that are graphically appealing that is not always on you to do. And that's where you can use your friends and family too. Like you can just have everybody take a picture and then you have it. Like you can stage some of that stuff. Or with each other. You can, if you guys meet up or whatever, you can all take a picture and then you have it. Um, so you can stage some of that stuff too. Let's see here. Let's see. Virtual book tour. Nothing quite does it as in-person events, but you can do some virtual book tours, which I'm sure you've done already. Um, Host a live Q&A session. So actually do a live Q&A with people, like teachers and different things to get to talk to the kids even. Mm, You have like Facebook Live you can use, Instagram Live, there's TikTok Live. You can't do TikTok Live since they have 1,000 people, 1,000 followers, but that is an option. Again, live readings, um, even if it's just like a chapter or like a bit of it. So one thing that I'm doing with my podcast is, again, being very strategic. My target market is small business owners and entrepreneurs. That's who I want to work with. And I'm in my on my podcast, I'm interviewing small business owners and entrepreneurs because when I make a phone call to them and say, "Hey, I have a podcast. I'd like to interview you," they're way more apt to call me back, first of all, as opposed to me saying, "Hi, I'm the president of BC and Associates, and we do marketing. We want to help you." Now I'm just a salesperson. So as a podcast recorder or person, I'm given way more clout and access than I would be as just a salesperson. So I want you to think creatively on how you can use a tool to create an opportunity to open doors with teachers or librarians. And maybe it's a podcast for you, or maybe it's some kind of series you're doing. And then on top of that, all the interviews that I'm doing, I have a guest agreement with them where I own the content and I'm taking that content and I'm transcribing it to my site as content for Google. And I'm also going to use it for my next book because now I've had interviews with people and some of their wisdom. And now I'm going to use that for my next book. So I just want you to think outside the box of how you can use something to get you access to people that you wouldn't normally have access to by being creative. Uh, Guest blogging and podcasting. That's kind of my next one here that I talk about. Um, Using your blog to create content and um, podcast to get access to people as well. And doing other podcasts, you can get your book out. I mean, every time I've ever been on a podcast, got more traffic to my website. I've gotten more followers on my socials, and hopefully, I would get more sales of my book if I did more podcasts. So, reach out to children's podcasts. If you go to Apple Podcasts, there's a whole you put in children's books or children's literature or literacy or something like that. I'm sure there's a whole host of podcasters that are looking for guests. And when you get on them, you got to kill it, like be engaging, like be interesting, and maybe give something away, a little something away on the podcast to get them to sign up for your newsletter. So then you can remarket to them going forward. They become part of your tribe. So today I'm giving you my ads playbook, and you'll have to enter your email to get on my newsletter list to get the ads playbook. But then you're on my list. So hopefully when you get my stuff once a month, you think of me and maybe you know somebody who has a business or maybe at some point you need me, I become top of mind for you. So be really strategic about that kind of stuff too. Let's see here. Have a genre blog. So just like it's about children's books and children's literature and invite people to participate with that. Maybe they have. So, on one of my questions I ask every single one of my guests is, "What's their favorite marketing book?" And then I'm using that to create an Amazon affiliate link to create again just another revenue opportunity for myself. To if they mention the book, then I could like put that in the show notes, and then maybe I can make a few cents, dollar, whatever, and all that can add up, right? So if you have a genre blog, then you can establish genuine connections with other people in the genre that you're in. And then reviews, obviously, that's like the holy grail, right? Of all things is reviews. And you need to solicit reviews from your readers. And that is, I mean, obviously, like I'm in the process of trying to get reviews right now. Just encouraging that is in every way possible. Um, That's a hard one. There's whole systems on how, like, there's this site, I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, where you can go and you can review other people's books and then they review your books for you. There's like forums for that. So, maybe even look in Facebook groups and stuff for like review forum or something like that to see if you can maybe garner some reviews by doing that. I'm not sure if there's a cost or anything like that, but that's just something I've heard recently that there are people, there's actually like forums that do that. Have personalized thank you notes. This is like maybe from like have your character or your story or somehow imagery that's like personalized as a graphic for you there. Mm. Again, actively engaged, be human. Don't just throw up stuff and not engage. You know this. You sent copies of your book to people, or it's 99 cents or something to get people to participate, and maybe give you a review for that in the beginning. So I don't know how many of you do this, but at the end of my book, the very end, I actually have a page that says, if you enjoyed this book, leave me a review. I actually have it on the very last, right at the end of the chapter. I have an image that says review my book. So I feel like you have to like tell people what to do. You can't just expect them to do it. You have to be as honest and like nice about it, but you have to tell them what to do. So at the end of your book, tell them where to go to support you, to support my work. Do this, whatever that looks like for you. And on your website, you should have places where you have links to review your work. And then in every newsletter you send out, review my work. Like it should be like, is it in your email signature? Review my work. Like you just have to tell them, beat them over the head with it because they're not going to remember and people get busy. So just keep at it. That's what marketing is. They say like 11 touch points and people remember your brand. So 11 times telling them to review you, then maybe they'll do it. So just keep telling them and sharing and making it a part of how important that is to support you. So they know that's how, because I don't think people realize the power of the Amazon review or whatever. So only authors understand that. So I think it's part of it's just merely educating the reader and how important that is. See, I'm ahead of myself here. Free chapter, free coloring sheet, offer something for free to get those emails, to get early access to something. Uh, Again, like on the website, encouraging reviews, offer free copies to other bloggers. Author exchanges are great. That's kind of like the other one. This is a book club. I know that they don't really have book clubs for kids, but they have activities around the book club or the books. So just again, kind of making it its own little book club in some way for a teacher or someone to use with the children to make it a more holistic experience. Maybe they can learn geography, they can learn math, they can learn all around the book, which would be really exciting as a lesson. Oh, that's good reads. Okay. Promotions and giveaways. I'm sure you've done lots of promotions and giveaways and also with your family. So here's some copy as well. All of these have copy related to them. In the presentation, that will give you some ideas of what to post for everything. So, I just want to give you an idea to get you started. So sometimes it just is the idea that you need to spur something for yourself. And that's really what marketing is looking at what people are doing and how do you spin it for yourself. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to make it yours. So I gave some, hashtags and stuff like that to use as well. A lot of these were for the fiction group that I wrote, but I wanted to give ideas to you guys as well. The newsletter is super important. I cannot tell you enough why the newsletter is so important. So please use the website banners on your website as well to change up what's upcoming and what's new. You want to keep that fresh content. So let's see here. And then can't tell what page I'm on. Why does that show me the page number? These are all just content ideas for yourself. And then you want to, let me get to my notes here to get to that page. Keep them engaged in all your work. Make sure you're connecting with them. Make sure that you have a newsletter. We talked about that. Twitter polls, Facebook groups. So Facebook groups are really popular for connecting on a grander scale and looking at those, what people are interested in. So I'm part of a small business entrepreneurs group. I'm part of a women entrepreneurs group. I'm part of a marketing group. I'm part of a podcasting group. I'm part of an authors group. I'm part of and I've made a lot of connections through that, but I also work my LinkedIn to make connections as well. And there's a lot of groups out there as well. Um, but doing stuff with Facebook group, I actually created a Facebook group for myself as well. I created one for my book and I created a Facebook group for my podcast. So people want to go in and connect, and maybe I can just share some extra stuff in there. They're brand new. I haven't even really developed them out yet because I just launched the book on the 27th of the month that I was doing of January, and I'm doing the podcast at the end of this month. But I will, be sharing stuff there and pushing people to that group. In the Facebook group, you can add everyone. So you can actually message it out to all the people in the group versus when you post on your page, it only gets served up to like 2 to 4%, maybe 6% of your fans when you go on your actual business page. But a Facebook group, you can actually talk to everyone, which is really powerful. So if you can't do a newsletter, at least do a Facebook group. All right. Then here I have, I think, let me see here, coming close to the ads part. So if you do ads, here's my QR code for the free download. If you do ads, you want to have a plan. You want to have what your goal is. If it's to convert on your website, or if it's to buy your book on Amazon, if it's to call you, whatever that is, needs to be very specific. And then you need to make sure you're measuring and you're tweaking. You're constantly doing like an A/B testing. Which verbiage is working better? Which image is working better? So test one thing at a time. Same image, different copy. Okay, this copy is working really well. I'm going to use this copy. Now use that copy and use 2 different images and test A and B against that. And then, okay, so this copy with this image performs better than this copy with this image. So slowly over time, you're going to really refine what works, but it is a science. I have a guy who does my ads for me who's so smart, and I am a creative soul, and I don't like that part. I'm going to be honest, of like looking and measuring all the things, but he loves it, and he likes to tweak it and get it to where it really works well. And it does take a little bit of time and knowledge. And once you kind of understand what your audience is looking for, it's real easy to replicate, but it takes a little bit of time. But this actually will help you at least get a head start, understand how to set it up, understand what to look for, understand how to measure it, and what kind of budgets. So I always tell everybody, do not put an ad on Amazon around Christmas, because you're literally wasting your money, because it's so busy. Everyone's promoting everything that you won't even get through the noise unless you're like some big brand. But on slower times, yes. So near Prime Day, don't put your ads out because it's going to get lost in the shuffle and it's a waste of money. But when it's not so busy on Amazon, or it's a quieter time, it's the perfect time to do that. And you'll see that on some of your results too, when you're measuring. So I guess I want to open it up to questions and answers. If you have specific questions or specific things you're wondering about, I can try to help you here, or we could take it to a call if it's more in depth or something. But um, what I, did I provide some good ideas? Did I inspire you? I hope that there was some good things for you to take
I
away
have a
from.
question.
Sure.
I have a question. This is Tiffany. So I've been going back and forth with and Kim Seeley has been very great with this and such trying to assist me with that. Um, but here's my problem. So I'm an author, but I'm also a mom and I'm also a former educator. And sometimes I'm like, oh, what do I want to talk about first? How do I want to present myself? So I go on Instagram and I see that some people are going viral in their car. Some people are going viral, um, just posting about their kids. Some people are, they have all the graphics and then some people don't even like clean up behind them in the background.
Hmm.
Like I see one mom who's branding just cleaning her house. Her house is a mess and
Right.
she just shows all of that. So I'm like, well, where do I start sometimes? So right now I'm just posting like my school events, things like that. But to your point earlier, if I brand as a mom, I don't want to show my children's faces. And then if I brand as an educator, I'm really not invested in being an educator online. Like there's teachers and people who brand like that. And then I'm just like, okay, well, I don't want to just be an author. So I'm kind of stuck in between having mom content and making it educate. I don't know.
So I think you have to be
So,
authentic to yourself. And as far as who's
mhm,
going viral, I can guarantee that that wasn't their first post for the most part. Something just hit. They were consistent. They posted and something hit. So you just have to be you and you have to be consistent and get the content out there. And the more you are authentically you and not necessarily perfect, the more apt it's going to hit. Now, some of those people hit when TikTok first started, so they had like a advanced, extra, I don't know, opportunity. But um, you can be an informed mom and past educator without necessarily showing your children. So I am a mom of two boys, but I don't show my children all the time. Like I maybe maybe two or three photos have ever gone out about my children. And due to operational security, I'm an army wife as well, but I don't share a lot of that part of my life either. But that certainly informs my opinion in many, many ways. So you can have that background to create authority, but you don't necessarily have to constantly share it. Does that make sense? Like you
yes.
can you can highlight maybe something in particular as a mom that you struggle with or relate to as an author and a mom, and you can maybe call out some educational policy that you think is good or bad or whatever, and just maybe reference based on my educational background in this. Da, 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 I feel like that you can reference those parts of your perspective, but it doesn't have to be the center. The center can still be the
Hmm.
book. But I think showing that you're this well-rounded, like, yeah, I'm a mom who has an educational background, who wants to write books that matter, is a totally valid space to be. And certainly a mom and education background informs your perspective, but you're writing. That's what you're doing right now. And I think that's what you need to like focus on. But I think it can inform you for sure. Like, I mean, it can be part of your conversation, but not the sole focus of it. And you don't have to show your children. I mean, we had four foster kids and we couldn't show our children anything that we did. And I would show the back of them. I was really creative about how I showed them, but you can be creative and not necessarily do ever, like really put them in the center of it if you don't want to. Does that
Thank
help
you.
or no?
Yeah, it does help. It's helpful. And that's what I've been doing as well. I'm just trying to figure out how to translate that into my content.
I think it's just
And I do need, I
consistency.
think I, hmm
It's really consistency. Creating content. The more you create content, the better you get. The more you watch trends, the more
hmm
you look at things. Virility is not a magic formula, but there is a
hmm
formula for it. I mean, if I had the magic formula, I'd be really rich, Tiffany, because everyone wanted me
Right.
to do their viral stuff, right? But I had that stuff gone viral. And when it goes viral, this is what happened. Somebody's creating content consistently. They post it at the right time with the right hashtags, and it hits. So just varying things up. Sometimes post in the morning, sometimes post midday, sometimes post in the evening. See which is hitting harder, like more engagement, more things. Do more at that time. And then what stuff is it the mom stuff that's hitting harder? There's gonna be something that's gonna really resonate with them. Whoever it is that goes viral, that happen. And I will say most of it is life, like real life stuff. Like when somebody, like the mom that cleans her house, she probably started off as like, I feel like a terrible mom, something really vulnerable, right? And it hit because it was really vulnerable and authentic to her. People connect with that because they've all felt that. And so I think the more you are really you with all of the challenges, all of the process, I'm sure in writing this book, there's been some tears, some blood, sweat, and tears, right? So what does that blood, sweat, and tears look like? And share the journey. Sometimes it's not pretty.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Anybody else? Okay. Gabriel, do you have anything you want to share before we say goodbye?
No, honestly, yes, their attention deserves. I apologize for that up front. I'm in the post office. But I did want to say, I did want to, I guess, mention the area you start talking about trailers. I don't think we do enough in our space. I think that is a powerful way to get a message out, treating everything like it's a movie trailer. So if we just, I don't know, get with a creator, get on Canva or something like that, get on Fiverr and let somebody create the thumbnail, create a visual, maybe even read the book for you. You also mentioned your son likes to go to those pages on YouTube. So kind of taking those as an example, we can build out another way to market our brand. Maybe not necessarily give it away for free the way they're doing, but it's a way to bring people into the space. So I truly thank you for that and everything you've given us, because it created light bulbs in my head for a lot of it. Even though I'm not on camera, I'm listening. And we actually talked about it, me and Sean up here, the gentleman working at the post office. So I truly thank you. If no one else, no, sir, go ahead. Please.
Thanks, Daddy. So, what comes out?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if no one else has any other questions, I'll be looking forward to watching it on YouTube so I get everything else because I didn't take notes.
So this is my contact information. If anybody, I don't know why that's rapping weird, but my contact information, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm info@bcassociatesmarketing.com. My website's BC Associates. I'm Beverly Cornell McGlynn on LinkedIn and most of the sites. I'm either BC Associates or Beverly Cornell. I did follow a lot of you when I was checking out your work, so you might have saw me stalking your pages a little bit. Um, but I really, welcome more conversation. If you wanted to set up time with me, I can send you a Calendly link, and I'm happy to look at something specific. I had told Gabriel, like, if he wanted to redo his website and he wanted, to do his homepage and then send it to me and say, hey, what do you think? And I can give him a few pointers along the way. I am happy to do that. This is a lot. Marketing is a lot. And there's a lot of elements to it, from the branding, graphic design side to the video side to the how do I get my message out? I mean, there's writing, there's a lot to it. There's the different tools and the technology. It's a lot. It's overwhelming. And even for somebody who does marketing every single day, if we don't stay up on the trends and we don't stay up on the tech, it can get overwhelming really quick. So, um, even if I can't necessarily answer the question in the moment, I can certainly send you a resource. Does that make sense? So, I'm happy to share my resources with you. Like if you're looking for SEO stuff, the gentleman, his name is Neil Patel. He's on LinkedIn. He's amazing. He does a lot with SEMrush, SEMrush. He's phenomenal, the tips that he gives. So I can always kind of send you to somebody to learn, and I may have a resource for you too. Like maybe I've developed out, like I created a customer persona worksheet. So maybe that's what you need to do your target to who's my target audience? Some good questions to ask yourself when you're going through it. And then the book too kind of gets you like to your vision and to your to your heart and soul. Like who am I as this brand? Why does it matter? What is my legacy going to be at the end of this? So it kind of like gets into the heart of who you are as a business person and why it matters. So there are a lot of things that I can point you to help you kind of get to the place where you need to be. And I'm happy to share those resources. So just know that it is a lot and it is overwhelming. And like, even Tiffany's asking, like, how do I get viral? Um, there's so much to it. And you can read, you could read for years on the magic formula for being viral. Like there's so many books and content out there about how to get viral. But everything I know is you need to be authentic to yourself. So Diedrich said he loves the idea of the playlist, which I think would be so fun with the children's books because you could have a lot of music is so powerful. So I think it could make a big difference for you guys too. So I hope that like when I was thinking about that, I thought that would be like the most fun thing was how to really make that story real. I think that the power of that. And as you're like developing the playlist, do a video of that or what that looks like create the content about the content. So you got lots of options for more content.
Hey, Beverly, if I can hop in, we got since you mentioned music, I think we got to be kind of selective about our music, making sure that the music we use kind of fits our brand and fits the genre in which we work in. We don't want to choose anything with cuss words when you're working with kids, that kind of thing. So you got to be kind of careful.
Even if I like that kind of music, and that doesn't necessarily speak to my brand. So you have to be really careful. Yes. And I did kind of mention a little bit, you were doing something when I mentioned it. So, yeah, I mean, you want to make sure it's about making the story real or it's culturally relevant to the story in some way, shape, or form. And that's important. And I know like a lot of your stories are about representation, which I think is wonderful. I think we need more representation. And I love that that is actually happening in the world. And I think hip hop and other things have an opportunity to bring that to light. I actually had a whole class on hip hop in my master's, which was really fascinating. So, it's a very cool genre to use, but you have to be very selective about how you use it if you use hip hop. So just be careful because some of it isn't at the root of hip hop. It's not necessarily nice. Yeah.
Can I jump in just for a moment? So I wanted to go back to some things that you said. As thumbtack moments or whatever, but it's directed more at Tiffany, but at everyone at the same time. Tiffany's question was centered around how do you go about going viral or rather, or getting yourself seen more by the masses or whatever. What you essentially told her is there's no secret formula towards it. Okay. But there is a formula to it. And you said earlier, it's simply being yourself, being authentic and just having fun. And this is what I mean. One time I've gone viral a couple of times. And each time I've gone viral, it's just been me being silly, me having fun. One time I went viral for some nonsense that my wife and I got into during our honeymoon. Another time I went viral, it was for picking on the Dallas Cowboys and just having fun or whatever. And this is creating little reels and things of that nature. Oh, wow. People really love that. And the time that I went viral on my honeymoon, I was messing with an alligator, and I had my back turned, and the alligator jumped up out of the water, and I said, "Oh crap!" So I jumped and I ran. Everybody thought it was so fun, but the whole point of it is that when it comes to your content, the best advice that I got prior to this, and that Beverly came back and affirmed, was when it comes to your pages and when it comes to your social media content, just be you. And as far as being you, you don't show up as an author, or rather, I don't only show up as an author. I don't only show up as and I don't only show up as a business owner. I show up in all forms that I exist. But where I create that separationism is what I do between the hours of 9 to 5. I don't want anyone to have any insight into that because I'm compartmentalized. But every other value that I exist in life, I allow that to be seen on my social media and things of that nature. And in doing it, I just show up naturally. And sometimes it's going to hit, sometimes not. But you can't plan for when it's going to go viral. It just happens. But the magic is simply being you, having fun, and being consistent.
You're exactly right. I mean, it's just, and I think just those like real moments in life, like the alligator, like that was a surprise that wasn't like planned. It wasn't contrived. It was a genuine moment of like, oh crap. And all of us can relate to that oh crap moment. My friend Brian, we've been doing social media for a long time together. Like we started off when Twitter just launched. Like we were friends then. And he just went to the Grand Canyon, for example, and he wrote, "You guys," and he had this video, and he was like, "You guys," he's got his his phone, and he's like, he's talking to it, and he's like so excited. He's like, "I am so excited to show you. I went like I don't know 4,000 miles to see the Grand Canyon. It's amazing." And he turns the camera around, and it was pure fog, and you couldn't see anything. And it went viral because can you imagine driving 4,000 miles and then you can't even see like you could not see one part of it. It was solid fog. So that's a real moment in life that he just captured and had fun with it. And I think exactly right. And I understand like Tiffany's perspective too. Like how do I balance all of that? How do I and I think that's part of the real conversations you have to ask yourself of like, who am I in this space? What is my mission? What are my core values? And what are my content pillars that I want to talk about and share? And how do I most effectively do that? And if you have those, like you have the compartments, you have those compartments clearly laid out for yourself, it's really easy to create content. Because in the moment, you're gonna be like, oh, this is perfect for this or whatever. You're going to be able to share that in that way. Um,
Beverly, thank you for that. I guess I want to clarify. I was doing things with my kids, so maybe I was talking too fast earlier. But my point to the viral thing was feedback from what you were saying earlier about the brand and the color psychology. You were saying to, because this is what I've been going back and forth with. Do I need to just show up and be on camera, or do I need colors? Do I need my brand and, templates and all the aesthetics that make a page look nice? My question was, is that all very necessary? Do I need to spend more time doing graphics, or should I spend more time doing content? Because people are going viral just making videos in their car, cleaning up their messy houses. My question was not more about going viral. It was more about where time management. Because right now I don't have any of the branding things going on, but I wanted to. But now I'm kind of like on the fence about, do I really need to go into Canva and become a graphic designer? Or do I need to just get behind the camera and talk? Because people are going viral just doing, like you said, a video about a fog. I'm sure it wasn't branded content, So that's my question. Do I need to focus on making that? Now, when I go to schools, I'm like, man, I don't feel like my page is like educate, it doesn't look like an educator's page. By that, I mean my logo, smiling pictures. What are they called? Those stock. I don't have a bunch of stock images with kids smiling and things like that. When I'm in the educational setting, I always feel like man, I'm at a library. My page is just showing myself. But then when I get at festivals and when I'm around the actual consumer, I'm like, okay, this is content for them. But then when I'm, I don't know if that makes sense. I'm
It
like,
does.
I don't want to scare off my customer because I don't look polished enough. But then I don't want to start a brand that's not realistic, where it's like, that's not even me. That's graphics. That's a whole different aesthetic than what my true personality is. And that's how I want to show up. But then, like you said, what you would post on your personal page, you don't want to post that on your business page. And you want to keep your personal page locked down because you don't want people arguing with you because you like sugar in your grits and they think salt belongs in there. And now you're in an argument on Facebook
Yeah.
about something so stupid.
Right.
And so that's where I'm struggling because I'm like, I want to be authentically me. I am from Brooklyn. I do like hip hop. I do like rap music, but I'm going to Peacekeep Elementary School. I don't want them to think, oh, you know, and I think me as a Black creator, it's a struggle because I see other people creating content using the culture, but it's not looked at the same. For example, if I were playing a rap song behind my video, it might look a little hood, and I could say that. But
Okay.
if it were like a different aesthetic, it might look more eclectic, So that's where I'm trying to.
Everything you're saying, Tiffany, is so true. And it's every brand
Mhm.
question, right? Like, how
Yeah.
much do I share? How much but the thing is, I think at the end of the day, you have to, like, if you do these exercises and really think about it,
Mhm.
it will reveal itself to you. And it is a process, it's an evolution. When you first start out, like when I first started out in this, I didn't have all the fancy graphics and all the things. And it's slowly now, like, I started off with a logo and I started next it was this and the next was this. And it's all about just making progress, and every every step is more of a clarity of who you are as this brand. So you don't have to have it like snap your fingers and have everything done. Although you might want that to happen. It's an unrealistic expectation. I think
Yes, I want it to happen.
it would be so nice if that was the case. But unless you hire somebody to do it for you and say, I want it in 48 hours or something, that's probably not going to happen. But I want you to, I want you to be you. So maybe it's not using every single song choice, but maybe picking a song that resonates with you and your story that's very specific. And while you might say it's quote unquote hood, I think it's really important for us, I'm going to say non-Black people, to know what true representation is too. So I don't want to water it down. I don't want to whitewash it in any way. I don't want to tell you to do that. I want it to be you, but I just want you to be careful about what songs you choose and what is happening in the song is what I want you to be careful of. So just because that's a good beat and it's cool or whatever,
Yes, I agree.
just be careful about how you curate it. So just be intentional. I think that's really probably everything I'm saying about your brand is just be intentional. So and putting it through the filter of, does this resonate with my story? Does this resonate with who I am? Does this resonate with what I want my legacy to be? And then do that. Like that's the authentic part of it. And while we're only seeing a glimpse of your life as an author, it can still be very authentically you. It doesn't necessarily have to be just because I don't see the mom side, the educator side, or whatever. The part that you are revealing just needs to be authentically you. So if you're struggling with this, even
Thank you.
it would be an interesting point of topic. How do I include hip hop in this where like that's a really great question. Like I feel like it needs to be explored. I actually called Gabriel about it because I was like, I don't want to tell somebody not to do that because it is part of the culture. And I would be remiss to say that. But I also know as a mom, and I have a brown child, if I heard him on a YouTube channel about us, like he goes on YouTube all the time, right? Somehow he stumbled upon your website and he got to your channel and it was swearing or it was about bitches, I probably would not be happy. So I would be, so you have to be careful.
Yes, I wouldn't be happy either.
Right? So you have to be careful. As a parent and an influencer of an 8-year-old child, I still want to guard him against certain things until I think he's able to handle some of that. But I also don't want, there's a lot of hip hop that is amazing and I think is totally appropriate for 8-year-olds. So you just have to find that and be intentional about it.
So
Thank you so
if I
much.
can,
I am definitely gonna look into that.
if I can chime in for another quick second, Beverly and Tiffany, we kind of in that same boat about the edited content versus showing up as yourself or whatever. And my
Yeah.
advice or give it to me was do what you have time for, and do what you have time for, and you repurpose your best content. Okay, and here's what I mean. Do you have the time today? Did you take something? Did you do something today that you believe needed to be posted? Was it photographic or whatever? Or was it something that was video worthy in person, post work? Yes or no? Do you have the time to go in and create Canva to create all these frames and pretty graphics around it? Yes or no? If you don't, just post it up. Stop thinking about what you trying to make things perfect. Just post it up. Later on down the road, if you see that people love that, when you have the time, go back and repurpose it later. Build those pretty frames and those pretty graphics and things around it and use it again later on.
Mm-hmm.
So content strategy is taking note of showing up as yourself, taking note of what works best, and then going back later and reposting it. And when you repost it, you can remove the one that didn't have the pretty filters and things of that nature on it, and so on and so forth. So that's what I do a lot of the times. I'm like, I don't have time to do all that. It takes up enough time just to come up with the perfect caption or the caption the way you want and your hashtags. Why make it more difficult in trying to come up with all of these perfect graphics? You're a mom, you're a wife, you're a business owner, work. We don't have time for all of that. So do what you have the time to do, and also try and schedule your content in advance on the weekends if that's possible.
Yeah. There's a tool called Metricool that will post to all of your sites, and it will actually tweak the content for the site as well. And it's pretty inexpensive. So it might be an option for you. But creating templates also, like if you have 5 colors, create 5 different templates and rotate through them. You don't have to make it super complicated. Like start there, and then from there, you add in some texture. From there, you add in other things. So create a template, and then and that's what we do with a lot of our clients. We create like a few templates for them, and maybe when you have time on a Saturday, create a second template that has a few different colors and gets more complex. So you're right. You don't have to do it all. Although if you're like me, I want it all and I want it all now. So I validly understand that, Tiffany. But you got to start somewhere. There is a book called The Gap in the Gain, and it's all about every step you make forward is a gain. Don't focus on the gap, what you don't have. Focus on the gains you're making every single day. Because tomorrow you're going to be one step closer than you were yesterday. So just focus on that. Like you said, you went to that library or whatever, didn't have that, but maybe the next time you go, you're going to have 2 things more than you had the last time or whatever that looks like. And just focus on the gains, because every time you do it, you get better, you get wiser, and you become more solid in who you are as well, like authentically. The more I podcast, the more I do presentations, the more I'm out and about, the better it's like playing basketball. The more I practice, the more likely I'm going to get the ball in the hoop, right? So it is really that. And Tiffany, you are like that. You want it all. I still get it. I want it all too. I want it all too. But you will get there if you're just consistently working and doing what you need to do, and you have that plan and you know what the next step is. So right now it feels really big. Start making a list. What's the low hanging fruit you can do right now? Can you do the template? Can you do whatever? And then start there. And then as you cross stuff off your list, just keep going. And then there's going to be more things added to the list too, because we're never done. Marketing is never done. Your website is never done. I'm giving you permission to know that it's never done. It's organic, living, breathing. And as you grow, it will grow. And start with a homepage, then do your author page. It doesn't have to be all at one time. So baby steps. Every step forward is a game. And just think of it that way. And today you have more information than you had yesterday. So already you're ahead of the game. Okay. So I'm like you. I want it all and I want it now. And it's really hard and it's exhausting to live that way. I get it. I get it. Is there anything else? So, Tiffany, you mentioned the Easter eggs. Did you have an idea of how you can use the Easter eggs?
I do have Easter eggs in my book, and I haven't thought of an idea yet, but I have a bunch of them. I thought about maybe blogging about it. So, for example, I ran a Kickstarter, and I have about 14, maybe 10 people in the book that supported the Kickstarter. Most of them are family and friends. I thought I could maybe do a blog series on the Easter eggs of the people, and maybe I can do that in April if I start working on it now. And then I should write that down because I'm going to forget. But I have people in my books that have stories. And so, like, maybe I can tell their stories. I also have, like, little things in the book, like my grandmother wanted to write a book, but she passed before she could write it. And I have that book, like, on a coffee table in my book with the title of what she was going to
It
call it.
gives me chills.
Then I have,
I love that.
yeah. Yeah, I have like a bunch of little cute things. I have like my aunt, my grandparents are on like little frames on the wall in the book.
Yes, this is
And then
lovely
I
and so
have,
authentic. Gosh, it is so you, Tiffany. That's awesome.
yeah, I know. And I'm like, it's the graphic part that just keeps getting on my nerves because I don't like the graphics, but it's almost like perfectionism. I want everything to have aesthetic, but then, to, uh, I forgot who was, I think it was Dietrich's point. Um, it's like, just do what you can because at one point I was doing all graphics. Like if you scroll all the way down on my Facebook, I had graphics and then I went onto a clubhouse with like graphic designers and they just like eat it up. And I was like, you know what? It's not perfect. I'm done. I didn't post for like 6 months. Not because of what they said, but because I knew that they weren't like perfect. So then I just stopped completely. Now I am in the mode of what Dietrich said of just posting what I can post. But now I'm kind of in the mode of what you're saying, add a little bit, baby steps. Now you can start switching it up. Even if you have one graphic, do that. So now I have to figure out how to share content based on the book. But I don't know. I have this thought in my head. People don't want to hear about the book all the time. They want to connect to you, how you build your brand and
Yeah,
how you
but
build
your
community.
grandmother's story is a connection to you
Mhm.
as well. So the book is an extension of you. And every
Right.
element, like it tells me like how detailed you are and how much you crafted the story if the pictures on the walls mean something. Like I hadn't even thought about
Yeah.
that. That's amazing. So
Oh, thank you.
I mean, even the graphic of the picture on the wall is a graphic. It's already a graphic for you. You just have to crop it,
Yeah.
right?
I
So
just
it's
have to
already
crop it.
graphically created, and maybe it's putting it on a border, of your color or something. But
Mhm.
um, don't because I'm like you, okay, in the sense of I want it to be perfect and I want it to
Yeah.
all be now, and I don't want to have to wait. But sometimes the process is really the thing that actually educates us the most. So
Yeah.
don't deny yourself the process and the evolution and the journey because the journey is actually like the most powerful thing you can go through. And, you know, I want everything to be perfect always. Like I never want to make a mistake. That's like a really big deal to me. But it's also
Right.
exhausting. So like give yourself
It
a bit of
is.
grace. Give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
So from one perfectionist to another. My
Yes,
stuff is
that's what
still
I'm having right now.
my stuff is not perfect. You see my last slide, my stuff's wrapping weird. I don't know what the heck happened. I'm like, what is that? Like I totally had a panic moment. I'm like, what? That is a problem for me. So, but it happens and that is human and it's okay. Like it really is. No one's going to die because my M is in the next line, but like it happens. So, but the Easter egg, I think you could really develop that out and make such a really like a really cool. Because I think sometimes with Zeke, my son, I'm always asking like, "What's happening here? Look at the surroundings." Like even making kids aware that everything is there for a purpose, like all of it. Like that's a really powerful thing to make people. It's not just the words. It's not just the main thing. It's not the, like there's a series called How to Catch a. So like how to catch a leprechaun, how to catch a unicorn, how to catch a. Yeah, have you seen that series?
Yes, I also work at the library, so I've
Oh,
seen
you
a
so
million
yeah.
of those
Okay.
books.
Okay. So I always with Zeke, we go through, we look at we look more at the background than we do at anything because like there's so much going on usually in the background. So, like what does he see first? And we kind of like do that. So I think you could do a whole thing on I love it as a series for sure of the Easter eggs that you have in your stories. And then how does that play out in the other things you're going to do eventually? So um and maybe one of those things becomes the inspiration for the next story too. Like it plays off of that in some way, shape, or form. Or there's an activity that goes along with it, like an activity sheet of somehow what would grandma's story look like? Or, like maybe they choose the ending of the story, they craft it, or somehow you involve them in that in some way. That again, that
I love
experience.
that idea. I love that idea. You just gave me an idea instead of, I could do an activity sheet possibly like, can you find it in the book? And maybe I send the readers on an Easter egg hunt
That's awesome.
through the book.
Yes. Yes. Because, like, who does Easter eggs really well, and I know she's like way overdone and whatever, but is Taylor Swift. She does a lot of that. And so this generation is kind of used to Easter eggs and they like them a lot. So, and April's Easter's coming, even you can have a whole play on that too. Um, and play into that again, that season. And that could be a really fun Easter egg hunt that's not like Easter eggs. So I think you could do like a really fun way to play on that too. But there's all kinds of things. And I
Thank
think
you.
again, that's so uniquely you. That's what makes it so lovely. And like when you told me about the book, the book on the coffee table, it gave me chills because that is such like you actually made her book come true, which is so cool, in your story. So
Yes, I love it.
yes, I think that's really extraordinarily special. So I think talking about that and why you chose that is powerful. And
Thank you
it's
so
such a
much.
gift to your grandmother, like, even though she's passed away, she's still with you in that. That's awesome. I love that. And I would have a picture of grandma, like, put that with it, like, somehow put the realness of her in it in some way.
Thank you. I'm writing all of this down.
So, Diedrich, I think you're the one that you have the wife and you do a lot with, because I looked at all your guys' profiles. You do a lot more with like YouTube and stuff. You do a lot with video. I've seen of like you just, being you, which is really great. I got a real sense of who you were from that. So I think you are definitely authentically you, which is lovely. Might have lost him. Well, if there aren't anything else that you want to chat or pick my brain about, I'm going to let you go and enjoy your Saturday. I actually have a basketball game with my 8-year-old here at 1 o'clock. So we're going to be busy this afternoon. But like I said, if you need anything or you want to, like Tiffany, once you develop this idea out, you're like, hey, because sometimes people just around you don't get it either. Like you're so excited about something and like they don't understand the motivation or the purpose or whatever and you want to just show it to me because you're excited, I would love to see it. I'd be honored. So don't feel like you're bothering me. Okay. If you have any questions or anything, you know how to find me. I thank you for your 2 hours today. That was a big commitment from you, and I appreciate it. And I hope that even if you got a couple ideas to help you with this process, then you're just again 2 gains ahead of somebody who hasn't taken the time and invested in this part of your journey. So thank you so much. And Gabriel, thank you for inviting me to chat with everyone today.
No problem at all. Thank you for agreeing to do it. We all truly appreciate it, and I'm sure some of us are going to reach out to you probably today. I'm one of those. So, truly, thank you.
Thank you.